is 40 minutes. So.
Okay, so she asked that we get started, and
Oh,
I
she
don't
did?
know. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I wanted to say something to Hélène. I just sent you the cost of the hotel, and I had. Oh, wait a minute. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I had sent you the cost of the travel. Did you get it?
I haven't seen it. I may have gotten it and just not seen it.
It was the week before we went, I think.
Sure.
Okay. Well, send it to me again then, will you?
Well, yeah, I couldn't find it. That's why
I'm
asking you.
If you have receipts, that would be good.
Well, that's what I sent. It's just 2 receipts for the hotel and for the flight. That's all I'm presenting.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I think we should get started. Cheryl's here. Yay.
Hi. Sorry, my computer gets in a snit if I don't restart it often enough, and then it won't let me start Zoom.
Ooh,
Ah.
that's
Yeah.
a good warning for all of us.
Yeah, I mean, I don't restart it for days, and I get, you know, and it's knickers in a twist, as we'd say in England.
Yeah. My cell phone does that too. I had to restart my cell phone several times when I was traveling because it would just stop working right. So, yeah. Okay. Well, let's see.
Have anybody
Yeah,
new?
we need facilitators. Oh, no, we don't. I'll
That's
do
you.
that. I'll do that. Note taker, vibes watcher, and timekeeper. Anybody will do anything of those? Note taker, vibes, or timekeeper?
Are the times listed?
Yep. Cheryl?
I can do vibes.
Okay, great. Okay.
But we really need someone to do the notes, please. And it is being recorded, so it makes it easier. And I have way too much to do.
And I do it, but I'm leaving for Florida on Thursday, and I'm trying to get everything caught up. I'm way behind.
And
So
you're facilitating.
Well, yeah.
Well, that doesn't, yeah. So AI companions on.
Yeah,
somebody-
I don't know what that is. Gloria asked for it. So I don't
It's
know.
supposed to help. Gloria,
It
if we use that, will you do notes? We can't hear you.
I think she's shaking her head. Oh dear.
That's what it does. It does notes. It does kind of like find the important things. Well, this is a test to see how well it does.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, you want to do the test, Gloria, or is someone else willing to do the test?
It's running. That is the test. It's running.
No, but we want to go through it and make sure it's optimal notes for us of our meeting.
At the end of the meeting, you can run your own notes and see how this compares.
That's the thing. We need somebody to take those notes to be compared.
Exactly. And decide which you want to include for the official thing. That's what we need. Somebody to compare.
It makes me nervous. I don't feel up to it.
Okay. Well, if nobody else will, I'll do it, even though I'm babysitting a lot before I head out. But
But maybe Martha. I see Martha's just joined us. Can we twist your arm, Martha, to take notes?
Absolutely not. I'm already behind on a week's of notes that I'm supposed to be doing right now. Thank you, though.
Okay, well, I'll do it then if no one else is up to do. I thought maybe Eileen would be interested in comparing the AI versus the reality of what we think. But
I have no idea what this AI is, although I'm getting kind of a suspicion. No, I went on a I've been in bed for 14 hours. I've had a real burnout. It's not a good time for me to do this.
Okay.
Well, I can, this is Joan, and I can compare my notes with whatever somebody else puts together, because I do take fairly much notes, but.
I'll take notes.
Problem.
Okay, well,
I'll do it.
Oh, there we go.
Joan and Peggy both. I mean, I take notes, but then when I'm speaking, I have a hard time.
Okay.
Can you
I have to
coordinate
put-
then? Peggy and Joan, will you coordinate the notes and get something final to Cheryl? I mean, it's not final, but it's
I'll
half.
send what I have to wherever you tell me to send it.
I'll
Thank
put it
you.
in the, I'll put my email in the chat.
Thank you.
Okay,
That
so
Joan? So I should send my notes to you, Joan?
That sounds good
Okay.
for the first round. Yeah. Okay.
okay, that sounds great. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Okay. And then I don't think we have anyone that has never attended this before. I think we all know each other. So we'll go on, and we want short reports on WILF actions since the last meeting. If your topic is not on the agenda and not to do with hot topics. So I don't know if anyone has anything, but does anyone want to report? I've only been traveling. Odile?
Every Friday, from 5:30 to 6:30, we have a vigil against the war, and I will stop funding the war machine. So I will send a picture.
Right, that is, you can talk about that during the hot topics, Odile.
Yeah, but that's a picture. It's an action. It was an action. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And okay, let's approval of Disarm Committee meeting minutes, approval of the last minutes of 12th November. I thought they were good, Cheryl.
Yeah, but they still have some gaps. I asked people to fill in some gaps. And Nancy's sent me 20 minutes ago or something. Robin hasn't sent me anything. So I think I'm not ready to show them. I don't think they're ready to be approved.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, everybody, but
I didn't even pick up that. I thought they were good, but okay.
well, there's just a few spots where, because it wasn't recorded, and myself and the lady who was taking notes, I can't remember who it was, we didn't have anything. We couldn't remember what the person said.
That happens. That's why I love the recordings. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So we aren't approving those yet. And now we're on to hot topics. The Gaza-Israel war, ceasefire resolution, vetoed again, the third time. It's horrendous. What can we do? See Disarm article in December e-news, which I haven't gotten the e-news, right? I mean, it was supposed to come out Friday, but I don't know.
It came out. There was an e-news alert that came out finally on Friday, 2 days ago. It's actually on the website. If you just go to the website, to the news section, you will find all the articles.
That's true. That's true. You can.
But there was an e-news that came out on Friday.
Okay, I'm so out of it after traveling. I'm just anyway. Okay, great. So anyway, did anybody? So that this is open for discussion. General discussion. The calendar for resistance for Palestine events and actions around the world, or Cheryl also has the link for that in the agenda. But does anybody want to say anything about it?
Well, one of the members of our small Boston group did go to Copley Square and Center Boston. And I think she said there were several hundred people who were speaking up again in a rally. When I went a few weeks ago, there were well over 1,000. So there was still another big one. My little group in Newton are still out there in this city of ours that's 50-50 for Israel. And we get mixed feedback from people who will walk by. Some will take flyers, some will not.
So you're saying 50% of the people will take flyers? Is that when you say 50?
Some will not. Yeah, they know we're for peace there.
Yeah,
And
I think
people don't want peace. And in fact, today at church, I spoke quietly to our, actually, she's been quite wonderful, interim minister. And I said, I'm very disappointed that we were honoring Israel. This was her talk, her sermon, and said nothing about the 7,000 kids from Gaza. And I'm expecting a couple of other people who had shared their similar feelings with me. I'm hoping that they too will talk to our minister. I think she's feeling her arm is twisted because of our very split community. A long timer from my UU church says, I have been in this church since birth. She's over 60. She says, we've never had this 50-50 split like this before. Yeah.
Peggy has her hand raised.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time following and doing minutes. There was a demo, I didn't make it, but there was a demo in Atlanta, organized mainly by the Friends, and in conjunction with the Palestinian support group, and 600 people, I'm told, turned out.
Right. I think it's obviously, as Eileen said, there's a division in all communities and in all groups of people. And so you saw that the president of Penn University had to resign because of remarks he wouldn't make during a hearing.
That's very important. Very important.
So people are, I'm sure she didn't voluntarily resign. And then the board of trustees, the head of their board of trustees, right? So every university has a board of trustees who is over the president, and the head of the board of trustees then resigned. I mean, it's just Whoa. Amazing. And as I've always tell you, I look at the BBC News website every half an hour, every day, and they keep you well up to date in the awful things that are happening. The people, I'll let you speak in a moment, Odile. The people are being squashed. The Palestinians are being squashed into an area the size of Heathrow Airport. Now, maybe you don't know how big Heathrow is. It's in a very, very small space, which is essentially the desert with no facilities, one toilet to 700 people. I mean, it's just atrocious. And so, to me, it's a disproportionate action on the part of the Israelis. They apparently, there are smaller bombs. They could be bombing more strategically. Okay, they have weapons that will just bomb a much smaller area. If they're after the Hamas terrorists, they don't need to bring down a whole block of flats. They can be more strategic, and they're not. They're not at all. Yes, Odile.
What's important is that the woman, it was a conservative woman, Republican, who interviewed 3 presidents of university, and her name is Ellie Stefanik. She's a congresswoman, and she interviewed.
The hearing.
Yeah, she did an interview. It's an interview for the president of Penn University, of Harvard, and of MIT. And after this interview, the Penn president resigned. But they want to go now after Harvard president and MIT. So, and there is a whole bunch of bills I will send you tonight that are going to be passed in the Senate that will prevent students from demonstrating, that will prevent organizations for supporting Palestinian NGOs. So there is a whole bunch of things happening. It's like McCarthyism.
It's like what?
McCarthy, McCarthyism?
McCarthy.
Yeah.
Oh,
McCarthy.
Yeah.
Oh, McCarthy era. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's
Okay,
Gut,
so
check,
Yeah.
gut checking everyone, but they're going to go after Harvard president and MIT next.
who happen to be women? One of them, the one, it happens to be a black woman. I can't remember which one. Harvard.
Harvard
Yeah.
is, yeah,
Mm.
black woman.
Nancy.
Well, it's stirring up a lot of controversy, that's sure, but there's been a letter with a huge number of signees at Harvard to defend the Harvard president. So I think this is going to create quite a bit of backlash.
Oh, that's good.
I've been hearing the same.
Yeah.
But was it not a hearing? You said it was an interview, but I think it was actually a hearing. They actually were
It was
in.
a hearing in the Education and something or other committee.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was mostly that Republican lady who was asking the questions, and they were very complicated, some of them. And so the lawyer, Penn State person, is a lawyer in her background, and she was very late answer, anyway. Anybody else? I mean, it's just so I have, please read that e-news. There's a couple of ideas. There is a Cory Bush House resolution about, wanting a ceasefire. That's looking for co-sponsors. And apparently being out on the streets is about the only thing we can do. Press, we keep going to our own representatives. Mm-hmm.
But
Nancy?
it seems to me that these academics, at least, should speak up and make the point that being critical of Israel is not being anti-Semite. And they don't seem to make this very strong point. And I think that's a great mistake.
Yes.
Well, didn't that come up in DC recently, like within the past couple of days? That being anti-Israel is, it's not the same as anti-Semitic. It's not. Anyway, I'm not saying it right.
They don't care. They don't care. The people who push, they don't care. And they're going to be on their back until they resign or they get the bill, the resolution passed, So we need a more concerted effort, like a huge coalition of people.
Right. Well,
not to butt in here again, but the problem also is that the folks calling for the resignation of these presidents are also people who have a great deal of money that they've been giving to these universities. So it's a question also of financial support to these universities.
Yes.
So there are multiple factors here that we all should speak out against.
Yes.
So I forwarded you an email from our Middle East Justice and Peace Committee suggesting that there be a global strike tomorrow and asking people not to go to school, not to go to work, etc. So it's all the details are in there, what you might do. I don't know that.
Are you doing anything? Because a lot of us are not working per se.
Yeah, well, they say, don't go shopping and, don't do what you might have done during the day. And then, of course, you have to write a letter to your op-ed, your local paper and say, this is what I did because of this awful thing going on in Palestine. So, but as you saw, the US was the only state that voted against the resolution. 13 other countries, including Russia and China, voted for it in the Security Council, and then 96 other countries co-sponsored it. They weren't in the Security Council, but they're allowed to co-sponsor it. So Israel is becoming a pariah. I certainly, I thought I might go visit them one day, but I'm not going to. They're going to, economically, they're going to suffer because people aren't going to go there, and so on and so forth. So but I'm looking to see, how many of these Hamas terrorists have they actually got and killed? Hardly any. Hardly any for all this effort.
Yeah. But it's not clear exactly who is. I mean, it's just like always, when we were in Vietnam, who exactly were the people that they were fighting? It's hard to tell.
I can't find the hand raise thing, so I'm just waving my hand here. Yeah, this is Joan, and I think what I'm learning is that Israel is not motivated primarily or only by trying to find and get after Hamas, but rather to get all the Palestinians to leave Gaza.
That is one point of view. But Egypt and Jordan won't take them because they know that's what Israel's trying to do.
Yeah.
So they have steadfastly not taken any. And
yeah, it's horrible.
I think Margot, wrap up here, just FYI.
Thank you. Margot has a hand up.
Yes, I think that there's some information, and this has been very informative about the new McCarthyism. And I appreciate Odile for drawing that parallel, because it does feel like what's going on. But I think the thing that people don't know is that Likud has terrorist roots also. And if you compare the massacre in Deir Yassin, that was the 9th of April, 1940, with the massacre in a place like Kfar Aza on October 7th of this year. There are a lot of parallels, because there were two terrorist groups then, which were the Irgun and also the Stern Gang. They were also called Fighters for the Freedom of Israel, and they carried out massacres of Palestinians in 1948 and later. And another big Likud figure, of course, is Ariel Sharon, and in 1953 carried out a massacre in a town in Jordan called Qibya. That's Qibya. It's like Libya starting with a Q instead of an L. And there was UN Security Council Resolution 101 against that incident. And so, look, the irony is Likud has terrorist roots as deep as Hamas. I think it's tragic that extremists are running the show. And I think as far as the issue of anti-Semitism, the fact is Palestinian Arabs as well as Jews are Semites. So this is all intra-Semitic violence. Yeah. And Gloria, you have been an inspiration with your approach to the oligarchs, and you have the courage to put that in effect. So I have to say what I have to say. That if you find that there is a very, dehumanizing one side is not the way. And typically the people who do the dehumanizing rhetoric are themselves, come from themselves with terrorist roots. Thank you.
So Margot, that you had some interesting facts in there. It would be really helpful if you would write them down in a couple of paragraphs for us.
Yes, I can do that and post it to our discussion list.
Thank you. Thank you.
May I jump in here and say to Odile that I need you to send me that statement for me to approve it and send it on to Chris, because I have been looking through my email and I can't find it. I don't know if
Yes, I'm looking for it, and I hope I will find it.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We'll talk about it later, but
Okay.
Okay, so the next item was Ukraine. And yes, the wrong reasons. The Republicans are stopping the money for Ukraine for the wrong reasons. But so the question that you asked was, what can we do to bring about a ceasefire there? Okay, Gloria.
Okay, I want to say something from a point of view of someone in rhetoric. A lot of these very liberal people, I don't mean radical or really, really progressive, but liberal, immediately jump on people who are anti the war and start to say, that you must be with Biden then. It's like they're getting this a false dichotomy. If you're against the war, then you must be with Trump. I can't even say his name. Switch Biden. You must be with Trump then. I'm sorry. I couldn't get that name out. So if you're not for the war, then this is that two value thinking, and they try to smear you with that before you can even answer. And I've had people, quite educated people, who are, quote, liberals in the academic community, in the scientific community. Oh, well, one of them saw Odile's post because I forwarded it to her, and she said, she's helping Trump with those criticisms of the Democrats. Is she conservative? I said, I don't think so. I don't think Odile is conservative. And I had to explain to her that no, not everyone who has problems with these Democrats who are so in love and in bed with the military industrial complex are trying to help the Republicans. We aren't, but we will not support those Democrats. And you need to understand there's another group here. So that was what I did just today with someone who's a widow of a very well-known astronomer from Holland, by the way. She's from the Netherlands.
What did I send?
Oh, I sent you a report, about the TPNW. And she read it because she's very into, ecology and ending nuclear war. And she said, but some of her remarks, she's helping Trump. Is she a conservative? And I said, I don't think so.
No, I am.
Anybody who criticizes Biden, in other words, has to be.
But I didn't criticize.
You were saying something, maybe made some remark about Democrats. I don't know.
No, I didn't say anything about Democrat in my report.
I don't know what she got
anyway.
that from. Yeah,
it just shows. I mean, I see this all the time. I send out emails, and I can tell that people are skipping over some paragraphs based on the replies I get and the actions that are not taken. That I ask for actions and they're not taken.
But the point I was trying to make is setting up a false dichotomy that if there was anything at all critical said about the administration in that report,
I didn't say anything about the administration.
Whatever she saw there, she thought there was.
I did say stop the war machine, but I didn't say anything.
I don't know. But whatever she thought she saw, I'm just saying that
Okay, they're far up. They're far up.
These are important rhetorical points, not to let it go. Because when you get into a two-valued thinking, you don't allow for a whole array of people. It's very important that you all register that in this meeting.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks. I agree. Okay, the next item is diffuse nuclear war. The coalition is gearing up for a week of action from January 8th through 12th. So, solidarity.
Yeah.
Huh?
So I can just fill you in on that. So what diffuse nuclear war does is it encourages other organizations to actually do some actions. Okay, and they've chosen that week, and they are, intending to connect it. Because really they're talking about nuclear weapons, but they're connecting it to the fact that it looks like Saudi Arabia, wants to get a nuclear power station. And one of the reasons for doing that is to make the plutonium so you can make a bomb. So that's their connection. And we won't meet again till January the 14th. So I'm going to be sending you reminders about this for your local groups to do. And there's a form that you fill in, your branch or your group, or whoever, which it is that you work with in your hometown. Do something in those 4 days. Okay, so that's because we can't forget Ukraine, and we can't forget. I mean, I feel guilty about the fact that I've hardly paid any attention to Ukraine. Our peace in Ukraine didn't meet. They're going to be trying to make some more ideas come forth. So all I can tell you is I will keep you all informed as I hear about these things. Thank you. So I think we can go on, Diane.
Okay, so the next thing is campaign reports. We have 11 current campaigns. We will hear from those who have something new since the 12th of November. And so the first one is continue to press for disarmament. And,
Yeah, carry on.
Okay, oral reports. Yeah, we were going to hear oral reports. Cheryl, do you want to give yours? You have to go soon, right?
No, I go at 10 after 6.
Oh, you have another hour.
I have another hour, yes. Don't worry.
Good. I was thinking you had to leave in 8 minutes.
No,
Okay.
no. I appreciate that. So I don't see Nancy here yet. No, excuse me. I mean Robin. I'm sorry. So, but Martha's here and Odile's here and I here. I've actually made a PowerPoint presentation, but I think it's better that Odile and Martha speak first, because mine is the highlights. I've done a highlights. Odile has sent something. Do you want to speak?
I sent my report, and I sent all the negatives that I saw, like the fact that many countries are rearming and building new nuclear weapons at great cost, and that the ones that don't have any nuclear weapon are getting kind of fed up because they can see that the nuclear weapon state are not disarming. So anyway, there is a certain amount of frustration, and there is, but I also put in all the positive things that I saw. The fact that many more countries are getting involved, many more NGOs, and that it's a much more diverse group of people. And that, what else I say? I don't know. I don't have my text in front of me, so, but I think everyone can read it. I send it to Disarm discussion. So you can just look for it and see it. And I saw some positive things. The fact that this TPNW is pushing the NPT to be more active again, because the NPT was falling in the memory lane and not being very active anymore. So I don't know. I think a lot of it was positive, and I will write. I just put the heads on the positive and negative, and I will write a bigger report later on. Thank you.
Good, thank you. Okay, Martha, what did you want to say? I don't see.
She was here a moment ago.
She was. Now I don't see her. Okay, well, Cheryl, do you want to go ahead then?
Yes. So I'm going to want to share my screen. Am I be able to do that, Ellen? I can't remember how. Okay, share screen. Okay, here we go. Share screen.
I have one participant can share at a time, so
Right,
it should
here
be good.
I am. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
All right, you need to move, because I can see you all in a column on the right-hand side, but you can move that away. Pick that up and move it away so you can see my whole slides. If you've got this right-hand column with like 4 people in it, you can pick that up and move it out of the way. Okay, that's one thing you can do. So let me do slideshow.
I don't know how to move it. I'm trying to move it. Mine's not moving.
Okay, if you're in the gallery view, so I'm just trying to, I give up trying to get rid of those. All right, this is just highlights of this meeting. Went from the 26th of November to the 1st of December. The 26th was actually the campaigners meeting. All right, so ICANN is in charge of all the NGOs for this meeting. You remember for the MPT, it's Reaching Critical Will that's in charge, but and so they invited us to come to this particular church in Manhattan and meet each other and listen to various panels. And I was hoping Robin was going to be here to tell us about that, because she was there all day. I missed the first session.
Do you want me to call Robin?
You could try calling her, yes.
Okay.
So this is just a view of one of the panels with speakers. And it was very nice, because I got to meet a whole bunch of people that I only ever see in Zoom. At lunchtime, we all dashed off to Central Park, which was a few blocks away. And that's Odile had managed to acquire a "Don't Bank on the Bomb" sign, which she carried everywhere. You'll see it appear in several photos. We were each given a bag. You'll see this bag that I'm carrying with the fact it was the Nuclear Ban Week in New York City. Hopefully you recognize this skyline, the other side of Central Park. And the purpose was for us to have a big group photo with this big sign, nuclear band, and Odile is here holding the, can you see my cursor? There she is, standing with the Don't Bike on the Bomb. And there were many groups represented at this campaigners meeting, and Back from the Brink, and Warheads to Windmills, and some Japanese groups, some Korean groups. So it was to inspire us for the week ahead, and to point out all the side events that were going to happen. So at the end of this meeting, they had this photo that you could stand inside this surround and have your photo taken. So that's me, Odile, and Robin standing there. And then I had invited, there were 14 people on the WILPF delegation. All right, there were supposed to be five of us from WILPF US, but plus 7 or 8 others. And none of them ever replied to my invitation. But these ladies here that you see sitting at the dining table are all from Scotland, from WILPF Scotland. And we bumped into them. So we invited them to come to dinner and learnt about their actions. And these older ladies at the back, you know, this lady here was at Greenham Common, that very famous women's-led anti-nuclear demonstration, 40 years ago or more now. So that was nice, and you know, we exchanged email lists and everything. So we were expecting to see Robin the next day, but unfortunately, those 3 Palestinian young men were shot at very close to where she lives in Burlington, and so Robin felt the need to leave and go back to Burlington to be supportive of her community there. So she did not stay for the meeting. So finally, the next day, after a long wait for getting our passes, 3 of us actually got into the meeting. Jean Verthane, who isn't here today, had a dickens of a time trying to get a pass, so she never actually made it, which is unfortunate. She lives in New York. Several attempts she got to get a pass failed. So in the end, it was just we 3, Odile, me, and Martha. And this is in front of that very famous sculpture of the what do you call this? A gun here with its end tied up. And this is Odile and I at the first session, sitting here in the observers gallery. So we're not in the General Assembly. It didn't need to be that big. It's called the Trusteeship Council. And below us are the diplomats of the 69 parties who have ratified the TPNW, who have come to discuss its details. Because the articles just say things, but they have to work out how to implement them. So we split our time between listening to the diplomats in the that trusteeship council and going to side events. But again, different from the MPT, NGOs are welcome and invited to give statements to the diplomats. This is Melissa Park, who is the new executive director of ICANN. You remember Beatrice Finn resigned. This lady, excuse me, she's Australian, a lawyer, was an Australian MP, and has a very good background in all of these things. So I heard her, I must have heard her about 5 times in various places speak, but this is her in the very first session addressing all the diplomats about what ICANN would like to happen, okay? ICANN, everybody had statements. You could pick up the statements. I came home with a bunch of printed statements. And I would say about 20 NGOs addressed the official sessions during those 5 days, making their cases, on various aspects of the treaty. So that was, and then they had this big screen. When there was people speaking in Spanish, you listened on this, get the translation that was the interpretation that was going on.
There was also...
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes. There was also the director of the International Red Cross that spoke a couple times.
Right. and I will speak about that shortly. So on that day one, parliamentarians had been invited to come and see what the TPNW was about. The only US one was Representative Jim McGovern from Massachusetts. And here's a photograph of him actually visiting the Mayors for Peace booth. So different organizations had booths in the corridors where you could read about their actions, and you've all heard about Mayors for Peace. This is Jackie Cabasso, who runs Mayors for Peace in the US, talking to Jim McGovern. There were parliamentarians from lots of other countries who came to observe, but McGovern was the only one who came. So one of the side events that I made sure we went to was about gender, the gender provisions in the treaty. And Chile was in charge of a working group to see how they could implement the fact that it says, you know, problems that affect women need to be dealt with, and we need to be sensitive to gender. So these people here were on a panel telling us what was in their particular document that was given to them the whole meeting. And the report here is on the left. And then Ray Atchison, I sent you already her excellent statement where she actually, you know, considers this statement and expands on what she thinks we should be doing with regard to marginalized people, not just women and girls. So these are things that I hope you will go away and read at some point. So I can tell you that in the final discussion I heard, where they were discussing this report, the Vatican was not pleased with the definition of gender. They